going to create a fidget spinner that will hold 3 M10 hexagonal bolts. So first we need to make sure that you've selected your working directory. You should be going to either your Creo folder, or you've created a fidget spinner folder for it. And then we are going to come up and choose new. It will default to parts, which is what we want, and we'll call it fidget underscore spinner underscore, we'll do M10, so we know it's going to hold the M10 Nut, and we're going to press OK. Once you press OK, that will open up your modeling environment. You have your right plane, you have your front plane, and you have your top plane. You can hover over these, they will go red. You have to be on the edge of them to select them, and you can left click to select. You can also select the planes here in the model tree. For this tutorial, we are going to choose the top plane. So select the top plane and then come up and choose sketch. Now your modeling environment should have gone into a two-dimensional view. If it doesn't do that, then you must choose sketch view. You can find sketch view here, or you can find it here, and that will turn it into this view. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to choose the line tool, and we're going to select from the middle, click once, draw a vertical line up, click once, and then use your scroll wheel as a button to disconnect. Then we're going to dimension that line, and that line, height of that line needs to be 30 millimeters. If you press refit, which is this button here, refit, it will bring it up close. You can roll out with the mouse wheel. So now we're going to go and get line again. We're going to go from the bottom of that line, and we're going to go diagonally into this quadrant. We're going to click once and then one more with the scroll wheel, and that will disconnect. We're now going to apply a dimension to that. So I'm going to refit that, and then I'm going to dimension that. So we have an angle here, and then we have a vertical height. So what I'm first of all going to do is I'm going to set the angle to 120 degrees. Now I want to set the length of this, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to left click on the line, and I'm going to come away from the line and press the scroll wheel, and that creates a different dimension. That's the dimension I want to apply, and I'm going to set that at 30 millimeters again. So that technique I've just shown you is a way of choosing your own dimensions if it's not showing what you want. Okay, I'm going to go and get the line tool again. I'm going to click down. I'm going to draw diagonally into the space, right hand bottom quadrant, and I'm going to use the scroll wheel to disconnect. I'm going to go up to dimension tool, and again I'm going to set the angle to 120 degrees, and I want to set the length, so I'm going to left click on the line, come away, press the scroll wheel, and appears my dimension. I'm going to set that at 30 millimeters. Okay, so this is the structure of our drawing. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a circle with the center and point tool. So that you'll find that here under circle. I'm going to choose the center and point tool. I'm going to come to the center. I'm going to click and drag out a circle and click to stop. And then I'm going to dimension that circle. So now we're getting some more dimensions happening here. I'm going to dimension the diameter, and we're going to set that diameter at 21 millimeters. Okay. I'm now going to go up and choose the same tool again, and I'm going to come to the very top, and I'm going to click out and drag out another circle, a bigger circle, and left click, and then I'm going to dimension that at 30 degrees diameter. I'm going to do that on all the lines, so 30. Now as I drag out, you can see that the top one goes green, so that means it's the same diameter. So I'm going to do that there, and then we're going to do the same there, so it's the same as the top one. Okay, now I'm going to choose the circle tool again, and this time I'm going to draw in a circle, on a smaller circle on the top. Be careful that it doesn't go green. I don't want a green highlight to come up because I want to set this at a different dimension. I'm going to set that one at 13 millimeters diameter, and I'm going to do that on all end points. So now I know that that's 13 because the one above has come up green. I'm just going to center this, and I'm now going to draw out another one, and again the top one has gone green, so I know that's the same diameter. Okay, so we have dimensions that I needed. So now what I'm going to do is show you the offset tool. So I'm going to come along to the select tool. I'm going to select the vertical line we drew at the start, and I'm going to offset that. So the offset is going to create an extra line either to the left or to the right. You can see here, this is going to go to the right. I'm going to offset it by 15 millimeters because I know the diameter of this circle is 30, so it should match up. So I put in 15 and press enter, and that one has come across here. I'm going to select the line again, but this time I'm going to put minus 15 and then press enter, and that will come across to this side. This is creating the outside shape of the fidget spinner. The internal circles are for details inside. I'm now going to come across to this diagonal line in the bottom left quadrant, and I'm again going to put 15 millimeters. Then that is going to come over to this side. I'm going to press OK, and it crosses over here. I'm going to select it again and put minus 15, and it should come this side. Oh, undo that. I'm going to choose offset and choose minus 15. There we go. Just make sure. Okay, so now I'm going to so that. Just going to make sure. Oops. Okay. Right, so now I'm going to come across to this line here and do exactly the same. I'm going to go up to offset. I'm going to put in 15, and that will come across. And then I'm going to choose it again, but this time I'm going to put minus 15, and it will go the other way. Right, we've got lots of lines now in our drawing. Now it's time to delete some of these lines that have crossed over. In order to create a valid sketch in Creo, it has to be a closed shape. So there are lots of lines we now have to delete. Okay, to delete a segment, we're going to come up to this tool here, and it's called the Delete Segment tool, where we can trim parts of our sketches. Pay attention to each part that I will delete. I'm going to start with the top circle. The biggest part is the inside part of the circle. I'm going to trim that part there. So I'm going to trim that part and that part. I'm going to come across and do the same in the bottom circle. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and you can see what part is going to delete by it going red. So I'm going to click on that. I also need to get this part and this part. Okay, I think I've done that. So we're taking the bigger circle inside the fidget spinner profile. And there is another part there that I need to delete. So I'm going to come in a bit closer and delete that. Okay, so that's pretty good. That's what we want. So now I'm going to deal with these cross sections, these intersecting lines. Okay, they must go or this shape won't be able to extrude. So I'm going to click on that one and that one. I'm going to come across and click on that line and that line. I'm going to come down to here and click on that line and that line. Okay, now I want to get rid of the original lines we drew at the very start. Now they are broken up into 3 parts because of the circles. So I'm going to delete that part, and that part of the vertical. I'm going to delete that part, and that part of the left diagonal, and then over to the right diagonal I'm going to click that part, and that part. I now have a shape. Now I'm just going to go in and check before I do OK that I've deleted all the lines that I should have done and there's no overlapping geometry. Now when I tick OK, it should go a shaded colour unless I've forgotten to delete a particular line. So let's see if this works now. So I'm going to tick OK. And it is telling me that there is a problem here and it's gone red. Okay, so highlighted vertices are very close to each other but not connected. It may cause trouble. Do you want to add the same point constraint between the highlighted points? I'm going to say yes. That will mean that they click together, and then I should be able to extrude. So now I've extruded. I'm going to change here the depth to symmetric, and the overall depth of this extrusion is 9 millimeters. So we type in 9 there, and we have our first part of the model. Okay, so the next step is to draw on this top face. So here we're going to choose sketch, and then we come back into it. So now we're going to deal with the first part, is the center hole. Now the original hole was 21 millimeters. That was the base part to hold the bearing in. The bearing diameter, we're going to draw a circle from that point here. I'm going to draw out a bigger circle, and we're going to set that dimension at 22.3. 22.3. The bearing is 22 millimeters in diameter. The 0.2 is to allow a tolerance of fit and the variation from our 3D printer. So I'm going to tick OK, and then I'm going to rotate and I'm going to extrude. I'm going to push that extrusion down into the model and choose remove material, and as you can see we are creating a step. This step is to stop the bearing from falling out the other side. Now the total depth of our fidget spinner is 9mm. So we're going to leave a 2mm wall at the bottom. So we're going to set the depth to 7mm, leaving the 2mm material at the bottom, and we're going to tick OK. Right, now we're going to choose the top face again, and this time we're going to choose Sketch. And now I'm going to introduce you to the palette tool. The palette tool will allow us to get the shape of the 6-sided hexagon bolt that we're using. So here we can get polygons, and we're going to choose 6-sided hexagon. And I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to put it close to, but not in the center. I will make sure it's in the center with dimensions in a moment. So I'm going to click close to there. And then I'm going to come up to scale and put in 1mm. And then I'm going to tick OK. I'm now going to zoom into this because I'm going to set some dimensions. The first dimension I'm going to set is the full size. I'm going to use the dimension tool. I'm going to left click on the bottom line, left click on the top line, and then I'm going to come across and press the scroll wheel. That will give me a vertical measurement. Now this window has come up to say that there is a conflict. It's confused with this measurement that we have in. So what we want to do now, with that selected, we just choose delete, and we are left with this measurement. Now an M10 bolt is 17mm from one side to the other, so that has increased its size, so I'm going to refit. Okay, now I'm going to find the center, and I'm going to left click on the center, and I'm going to choose reference. I want to reference this circle so we can find the center. So close that. So I'm now going to click dimension, find the center of the hexagon, left click once, find the center of the circle and left click once, and now press the scroll wheel. That gives us a dimension. Now this dimension we are going to put 0, and that will move my hexagon down to the center, but it is not still in the middle horizontally. So I'm going to do the same again. Now you actually have the measurement here, but if you don't, you can left click the center and press the scroll wheel. And again we're going to put 0, and it will move the hexagon across to the middle. Okay, we now have that positioned. We're going to do that now for all of the 2 outer circles. So again, I'm going to come across. I'm going to double click and drop the hexagon in here. I'm going to choose one here. I'm going to come down. I'm going to tick OK. I'm going to use the dimension tool. I'm going to click on the bottom and the top and use the scroll wheel. I'm going to delete the 1mm dimension that we drew, and I'm going to set this dimension at 17mm. Okay, so now I've got to dimension this and use dimensions to get this hexagon into the correct position. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to choose, I'm going to use the dimension tool. I'm going to select the top line and the center of the circle. And then I'm going to come across and press the mouse wheel. This gives me a dimension. Now, to move this hexagon, The hexagon is 17 millimeters across. If I want it to come up to the middle, I need to find half of 17, which is 8.5. So if I put in 8.5 here, the hexagon should move up, and it does. Now I'm going to find the center of my hexagon and the center of the circle, and then press the mouse wheel, and I'm going to make this 0 and press enter. I've now put the hexagon in the right place. Now I want the same over here, but this time I'm going to mirror this one. So I'm simply going to select it using the select tool. I'm going to come up and choose mirror, and then choose the center line, and that will flip that one across. So that saves us a lot of work there. And then I'm going to choose OK. I'm now going to rotate that, and I'm going to extrude those shapes. I'm going to drag those down into the model. It should remove. I need to go to remove material here. Okay, and we are going to go down, and we're going to go down 7 millimeters, leaving a detail in there to hold the bolts, and you'll see that on the other side. Okay, and I'm going to tick OK. Okay, we're almost finished this part of the model. The next thing is we're going to put a round here of 10 millimeters. So we're going to choose round, select that, and then double click the number and type in 10. Rotate that round. If you select the central line again, it will apply 10 because it was the last one I did, and around to this one, and it's applied 10 there. And going to tick OK. And then finally we're going to do a round around the body of it, a radius. So we're going to go to round tool again. This time we're going to set that radius at 4 millimeters, and I'm going to find the edge, and that will send that around there, and I'm going to come underneath and do that there. And now I have a finished M10 Fidget Spinner body. The next tutorial will show you how to do the caps and the M10 bolt. Thank you for watching.